Welcome to a Muscle TV podcast. I am joined, as always, by my good friend Luke Schembri and another incredibly large human and very successful bodybuilder himself, Mr. Sam Pearce. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks for having me on, boys. It's good to see you guys again. It's
Sammy.
been a very long time. So, yeah, good to see us.
Always good to catch up, mate. We wanted to have you on the show because obviously you're a bit of an icon within the Australian bodybuilding industry. And I don't know if you're still at the stage of your career where it's funny to hear that, but it is the reality of someone with your professional status and your, standing within the bodybuilding community. And a lot of young guys will look up to you. A lot of young guys want to know exactly what you're doing. And that's what Muscle TV podcast is all about. We want to be able to educate the young guys and position them so that maybe one day, if they aspire to do exactly what you do, they will have that information in order to do so. So in order to do that, maybe you could give us a little bit of a rundown on your foray into bodybuilding, because I believe you started very, very young. You weren't always walking around at 130 kilos and 6% body fat. So whereabouts did you start out?
Well, funny enough, mate, you said it's weird hearing people say I'm an icon. And I'm not pissing anyone's pocket here, but you're the guys I used to look up to. So when I hear it from the guys saying that I'm an icon in the sport now, it's good to have the torch passed over, Because I remember when I was coming up, when I first started out, you guys were the top dogs. Generating a lot of exposure through your so-called beef, but I could see straight through it. You guys are scheming behind the scenes, and everyone's falling for it, saying, oh, they're beefing with each other. I'm like, nah, they're smart. I know what they're doing, So,
don't give our secrets away, Sam.
Yeah, I love it, But that's what I mean. It's mad because, you're always pushing hard, and it's great to see, the sport growing as it is. But it's also really cool to see, guys that I, look up to coming up. They're referring to me now as being in that positioning and giving good advice to the young guys coming up now as well. So it's good to hear that.
It's good to hear that you looked up to us as well, Sam. It's very nice to hear. Appreciate that.
I knew this beforehand, Scotty. That's why I got him on.
Of course, yeah. I still remember when things changed for me, dude. I remember I did a guest pose at I was still an amateur, actually. And that's when I really started to believe in myself, because Schembri put up a post saying, I saw Sam Pearce guest pose, he's going to take the pro card, And for me, it was like, that's when reality hit, because I'm like, fuck, man, these guys are actually really noticing. I've got to put in now and not just do a show and then fuck around in the off season. It's like, you're really starting to get noticed now. You got to really, really push and dedicate, How it started out for me, I was always good at footy coming up, but I just lacked the confidence. So I had to get bigger. I was late to puberty, things like that. And then I was just in the gym training, trying to get bigger for a year. And then a dude who competes, he's actually my client now, funny enough, but he was competing back in your guys' day, Eric McIntyre. Do you remember him?
Oh, I know Eric well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he came up to me in the gym, and he's like, he's fucking massive back then for me. And he's like, you're pretty strong. Have you ever thought about competing? And I'm like, yeah, well, look, I had all the magazines and shit. I'm like, fuck, I never thought I'd be competing. So, yeah, he just coached me through my first show. When, I started to go and started winning, my natty shows and all that. That's when he said, you got to step things up. You're out of my kind of league now. So he referred me through to John Davey. And then he was just kind of like my mentor and father figure and brought me up. We turned pro and everything like that. Just kind of won the amateur shows. And from there, just kind of took it on, didn't I? Followed the dream. Had a civil engineering degree that was kind of finishing up. And I just kind of looked at myself and another mentor at the time who I was going to work for as an engineer. And he's like, mate, follow your passion. You're a good trainer. You could be a good coach. You might have your own gym one day. Follow what you got to do. And funny enough, that's where I am, doing what I love doing. So people always say to you, bodybuilding, there's no money in bodybuilding or whatever the fuck they want to say. But to me, it's like, if you're passionate about something, and you live for something, whatever it may be, especially with helping people and solving problems, you're going to kill it, because you could work for free.
Yeah, nice.
100% agree, mate.
One thing I remember, Sammy, one thing I remember, Sammy, just with that amateur career, what did 2014, mate? I was there in the audience, the Nationals. It was a very close second place. I believe he got to Chris Jenkins. It was tight, man. It was close. I mean, I have been in a few situations like that myself, and I think it can either do one or two things. It can motivate you, or it can sort of, break you down. But it seems to have been the real motivation. That was a close contest, mate. Do you remember that one?
I remember it very well. And look, like, yeah, I was actually still, because back then you couldn't do multiple divisions. Remember, like today you can. So I had to kind of choose, you know, and, you know, I was pretty arrogant at the time. So I thought, fuck this. I just won juniors and NABA and everything like that. So I'm the man, you know, so I'll do opens. And I'm glad I did it because I wasn't expecting much. So, you know, the fact that I did the Queenslands and you had like quality names back then, like, you know, Chris Thomas and things like that, that, you know, you're versing and you're like, fuck, man, like, and you know, I end up beating him. We're really good friends today from that show, you know, so people are coming up to you and whatever, you get that exposure. And I did nationals again, not expecting much, and to see myself, you know, narrowly going down to, what's Chris Jenkins? Was Chris Jenkins?
Yep.
Yep. You know, it's one of those things. I'm like, great. Well, I'm actually still a junior technically, and I'm moving up. So, yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's force the hand here and give it a crack, you know?
I've never seen Logan Robson so angry, mate.
No.
Yeah, that was, and that's what I mean. Like, you know, these are the guys like yourself. Like Logan was in your guys' era. You know what I mean? Like he was at his peak, and he was also someone I looked up to in the gym because I just started PTing not long after that, and he was a top trainer, you know, then too. So I'm like, fuck, I got this guy here as well, standing up, you know, pushing, saying that, you know, I should have won that show or whatever. It wasn't the fact that I should have won. It was just more so like people, you know, that you look up to and they're recognizing you. You're like, fuck, all right, now you got to stand up and really push it, you know.
I like the fact that you forgot Chris Jenkins' name, as most of us have. A
lot of people didn't like him. Hey, I never really had a problem with him. I don't know.
Neither did I, but I just like to give him grace. But how long did it take you to actually, from your first trip to the stage to turning pro? How long was that process, and how old were you when you did turn pro?
So I did 3 years natty in the not ICN, INBA. And I was always, you know, getting first, second, top threes, you know. So I kind of said to myself, I'm like, look, like, you know, I always knew what I wanted to do. I did the NABA. They sent me over to the Universe, the WFF Universe, won that. And then I did 2014 IFBB, 2015. 2015 actually got offered my pro card because I was actually still the best in Australia at the time. I lost to an Indonesian guy at the Amateur Olympia, and they came backstage and offered me the pro card. But I was actually with Chris Thomas, funny enough, and John. And they offered it to me, and I'm like, yeah, no, I want to win it. Like, I want to fucking stand up there with my trophy and win it, you know? I'm not here for fucking, you know, just like, here's your pro card type thing. And it's funny because John and Chris, like, dude, they said to the head runners at the time, you know, oh, we'll just speak to him first before he, you know, goes ahead with this decision. And he walked away. He's like, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, no, fuck that. I want to win it. You know, if I'm good enough, like, I shouldn't be losing to some 80 kilo Indonesian dude. Like, if I'm a super heavy, I shouldn't be losing to that, you know? So yeah, that's when I came back in 2016 and won it, you know? Yeah, that's the year Luke shouted me out on socials, and yeah, that was it.
Amazing, mate. The fact that you did the natty shows, I'm a big fan of that, because I believe it teaches you the process and it lays the foundations of, you know, training and discipline and nutrition, and it doesn't lead to a reliance on enhancements. Do you find that, I mean, there was immense value in those years, and you know, do you feel the same way, like that it set you up for the future?
Yeah, dude. Like now I'm the best I've ever been in my life because I've just gone back to my natty ways. Funny enough, right? So people look and say, oh, I bet you run all this gear. Man, when I came out, my first year of the IFBB, in the off season, like I didn't see John for like 3 or 4 months. Listened to the bros in the gym. Oh, bro, you got to gas up. I'll put all this gear in me. It didn't do shit. It did fuck all, you know, because I couldn't eat. I felt like shit. I had bad skin. I couldn't sleep. I was sweating. I was huffing, puffing, like, and I was eating maybe, I reckon, 2 or 3 meals a day. Because, you know, when you pump that full of shit, you can't eat, you know. You know, it's the same thing. Even when, you know, you're coming up and you turn pro, people are like, you know, you got to push your drugs and all that kind of shit. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, you still have to increase it over time, right? It's like anything. But now, like, the main focus is going back. I do the old school. I'm training I'm actually training twice a day at the moment, because my gym's looking after itself. So I just come in and train twice a day. My meals are fucking on point. You know, a lot of the workouts are structured similarly to what I was natural, you know. You know, it sets that kind of baseline for hard work ethic. You know, how many guys do you see, they come off the gas and they piss themselves because they're like, oh, I'm off the gas now, so I'm not going to train hard and all this kind of shit. It's like, man, I've literally only started my stuff up 2 weeks ago because I came back on, tore my quad, fucking almost ripped it off the bone, and then I had to have another 3 months off, and like you hear about guys who are like, oh, you're still looking great, whatever it is. It's like, yeah, because I was literally, for me, right, natty for 6 months, right, as a pro bodybuilder. That's fucking hard, and if it wasn't for me doing that natty journey in the first 3 years, I wouldn't know what fucking hard work and discipline and following a diet. Because with those guys, they have to fucking diet their body into the fucking ground. They got to do the cardio. They got to lose muscle in the fucking process. Like, that's fucked, And to go through that kind of mental trauma, it was hard back then. Like, you're walking in on stage, you look great, but you put a t-shirt on, you look like a fucking, you look smaller than a swimmer. You know what I mean? Like, you look nothing. So that's what I find the problem is with everything today with social media, how it's so readily available, which is great. There's more education out there, but there's still a lot of shit where, you hear young guys getting in, 17, 18, 19, already dabbling with shit like trend, running double the dose of what I would ever run. Like, I'm at the stage now in my life, I'm trying to actually not even use it in my fucking prep. You know what I mean? So, it's not recognized enough when people are getting into shows or they're trying to, get jacked or whatever it is. Try and push it as far as you can naturally. There's nothing wrong with that, because as I said, once you learn how to push that and stay lean and stay with, healthy blood sugars and all that kind of stuff and gut health naturally, that's where there's guys that don't have to run a lot and they just fucking explode.
Agreed.
Did you find, Sammy, that there was a big mindset shift when you were in the amateur ranks and then you're going to the pro ranks, in the sense of, you're the proverbial big fish in a little pond in Australia, and then you go in the pro ranks and you're at the bottom again. How did you, what was your mindset through that shift?
Dude, you win the amateurs, and look, there's no discredit to anyone, but if you're good enough, you get through on genetics. I don't care what anyone says. You work hard, whatever, but you really have to have the genetics to push through, But then when you hit the pros, you have the guys with all genetics who have the genetics on top of that, and they work hard, and they have the accessibility, the best coaches, that they just live and breathe the fucking shit. And, you go out winning everything, and then you do your first pro show and your last call out. You're like, fuck, man, like this, because you walk backstage. I'm on the first pro show, it was Arnold's Australia, and you're backstage, and I'm in the best shape I've ever had. I had a torn hamstring, but I was shredded. I looked good. I was about the same size when I turned pro, but I was probably twice as shredded, which I did my job, right? But your job isn't fucking good enough, unfortunately. Like you sit there, oh, there's Dexter, there's Rolly. Fuck, this is mad. And then all of a sudden it's like you're lining up and you're like, oh, wait, that's right. I've got to fucking stand next to this. This is fucked. I don't want to be here. And it's not that I felt like I was out of shape. It's just that real harsh reality. You're like, fuck, man, this is real shit going on, And I came back the next year 12 kilos heavier, pushed up to second call out. I got, I think, 7th of that show or something it was. And that was a good win for me, because when I got put in the middle and, I got Rolly one side, you got Josh and Luke Sandow, Steve Horton, and I'm like, fuck, this is now pretty cool, to taste that. But that's what you think when you're training, right? When you don't want to get up early in the morning, or you're fucking sitting there and you don't want to put that extra rep out on leg press or whatever it is. You think about that last call out. So you need that wake up call. That's why I kind of wish when I was natty, or even when I jumped into NABBA or IFBB, I kind of wish I got hammered like I did in my first pro show, because it would have excelled me further, I reckon, earlier. It took me up till, I was fucking late 20s, 28 or whatever it was, to kind of get my ass handed to me and go, oh shit, like, I need some time here to really fucking knuckle down and do this, So even when I did my second pro show after that, that's why I was like, nah, like I need to have my own training space. So I opened up my own gym. Obviously, Nia was conceived the day of Arnold's, funny enough, the day of Arnold. So my gear must have been fake or something. So yeah, all that kind of came about. Then we had COVID and everything like that. So I was like, look, I think I just need to really take some time. And now I'm kind of coming back. I went through Crohn's as well in that period as well. So I had to kind of bounce back out of that. And then you just have that appreciation for everything as well. So it's like you go from the amateurs to the pros, you get the wake-up call. Then you're like, oh, do I really have it? And then when you look at it all and you realize how things can be taken away from you so quickly, you're like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm not going down like that. Like, this is what I do. This is what I love doing. I don't care now, whether you come first or last. It's like I'm bringing my best. I'm going to I'm lucky enough to be in this position, right? There's guys that compete their whole life, no offense, Scotty, but they don't even turn pro, right? So it's like, you know, and these are top quality guys, and here I am saying, oh, you know, I might let it go. It's like there's guys that would kill to be in my position, you know, and although I've done way more than what I always thought I did, you know, it's time to level up and get to those guys, because those guys live and breathe it. So it's like, fucking, you know, you got an opportunity. I remember, Scotty, you said this to me about 2 or 3 years ago. You're like, man, yeah, you know, you're retired for a very long time, you know, so just enjoy it while you can. And I'm like, it just fucking stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, like, that's right. Like, it could go tomorrow. You know, like I snapped my quad fucking 12 weeks ago, and I got up off the hack squat, and I'm like, oh, well, bodybuilding's done. You know, I didn't see the scan at the time, obviously, but I just thought I tore my ACL or MCL. Oh, it's over, you know. Luckily, the quad tear it was massive. It was a grade 2. I was hanging on, but it went up underneath the quad. So, like, it's actually made my right quad a little bit better looking, funny enough. Right. So now I've got to tear the other quad. But yeah, you know what I mean? So it's kind of worked. So I'm like, man, I'm so lucky. What am I doing sitting here, you know, second guessing myself? Like, take it and run with it, you know, like follow the dream. Like, I always say, push it as hard as you can on whatever it is you're doing, because that way, if you fail or whatever, you're not going to sit back one day and go, oh, what if I just did that little bit? Or what if I could have been this, should have been that? No one gives a fuck.
Not to go backwards in the podcast, but I'll be impressed if Nida was conceived post-show, but mate, I'll be so impressed if she was conceived somewhere between pre-judging and the final. So how impressed should I be?
I think, you know, that whole week, that whole week's a blur, you know. And the reason why I say the day of is because, you know, at that point, you guys know when you're prepping, you know, downstairs isn't working too well. You know what I mean? So you can kind of count back how many times you kind of got some in that period. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, wait up, the day of Arnold's, it must be that, because fuck, there wasn't too many times around that period. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. Fucking, I'm pretty sure. I'm about 95% sure it was then, because I can't really count. There was another time around there. Yeah, I can't tell you when it was, like, the exact date, the exact day and time, but I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure it was before prejudging.
Oh, look at you.
Pretty sure.
I admired you for so many reasons, Sam, but I've got even more reason now.
That's the other thing too, right? It's like, that's why, you know, like, we have the education today. You know, back when I first started, and you guys probably can attest to this back then, there wasn't blood tests ready available. We didn't have the, you know, the coaching and the education we did back then, the YouTube and the fucking, the coaches online talking about their coaching experience for free every single day. You know, you guys are putting out your shit, I'm putting out my shit, right? So, like, that's why I've just always kind of, you know, I've always just kept my blood tests in check every 12 weeks. Just make sure everything's kind of, you know, checking through and keeping healthy, because I find the biggest problem with bodybuilders, where you hear about these heart attacks and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, problems with this and infertility and whatever it might be, it's just due to a lack of proactivity. You know, they're reacting to situations. Where it's like, I treat shit so serious, man. Like, if something's out of whack, it's like I'm fixing it right then and there. I don't give a fuck. You know, because at the end of the day, like, I love bodybuilding. I told you guys I'm putting everything into it. But, you know, we got kids now, right? And if I had to give up everything tomorrow for Nia, I don't give a fuck. I'd give this all up for her, you know?
Yeah. Mate, you touched on the gym opening up. But I believe you had a couple of businesses even before that. Like, you've always been quite a fulfilled in terms of a professional life. Tell us a little bit how that's all evolved.
Mate, pretty much, again, like, you guys know this, like, when you're in the gym, there's people coming up to you, they're saying hi, you're a top trainer there. You know, you have to be nice. You know, like, some people, they look forward their whole day to seeing you, you know, just because you're dieting. You can't sit there and go, fuck off, I'm dieting. You're like, as much as you want to say it, right? So for me, it's like, I just created my own space. You know, I didn't want a commercial gym. Like, you know, me and John's like my second father, right? So if I wanted a Worlds, I could have done it straight away. Well, I didn't have the cash flow anyway, but, you know, I just wanted a private space. I'm like, I need to knuckle down and train, have my own spot, pick my own equipment, you know, and have a base there so I can do my content out of, I can do my coaching out of, I can do everything what I want to run out of there as it is, and just fucking get in and do it, you know. Like, I didn't really think too much into the numbers side of things or the entrepreneurial side of things. Like I said, I think the biggest thing, guys, we're told not to do is trust our gut. And to me, if something kind of makes sense numbers wise, like is when you talk on the entrepreneurial side of things, if something kind of makes sense numbers wise, like it leans in the right direction, I've got a good gut feeling about it. It's like, fucking do it, right? It's like, just have a crack. Like, you don't sit there, like I said, one day and go, oh, I could have this. I've learned so much shit. Like, it's like the gym probably pulls in maybe 10% of my income, right? Being honest, you know, but the lessons I've learned from it all has been fucking amazing, you know. And the fact of the matter is like, at the end of the day, it's still some sort of income coming in that I don't have to think about, right? It runs itself. It's busy. The staff here are amazing. Gym's fucking cracker. So it's like, I've got my own space to train in too, which, as you know, can also be priceless in itself, being a pro. So, yeah, that just kind of came about. It was actually after COVID, because when COVID came, I was getting ready for a set of shows in the States. I was going to have my first overseas stint, and I was about 8 weeks out, and COVID came, and Naya was just born. And I said to myself, I'm like, fuck, well, the gyms are probably going to open in a couple of weeks. I'll just get a squat rack and leg press and stuff just to, you know, so I have something here so I can keep prepping. And luckily I did all that before the surge came, because as you guys know, when COVID came, that's when gym equipment went up, because everyone went outside. I went and bought mine like that afternoon. It closed at 12 o'clock on the Monday. I went that afternoon. I started searching for shit, not panicking. I'm just like, oh, let's get some stuff. Just, you know, it could be a week, could be a month, whatever. Luckily, fucking everything was shut down for like 6 months. So I had a full gym in my garage. And when I went back to Worlds to train, they did all the renos and shit, but I was just like, fuck, I just enjoy training in the garage. I reckon if I just had something a bit bigger than that, it'd be fucking mad, you know? And I just kept that idea and ran through the gym for another 6 months. And I'm like, yeah, no, fuck, I'm out of here. I want my own spot. And that was that.
Amazing. Mate, the Crohn's is obviously a big one, because I know that was a massive ordeal and obviously a significant setback from a bodybuilding perspective. How did it all sort of take place? When did the symptoms arise? You know, how did you feel after the diagnosis, and just how tough has it been? Because I understand that, you know, Crohn's has, you know, ended a few bodybuilding careers, but obviously you found a way to work around it, and I'm just intrigued just to know how you did it.
I think all autoimmune diseases are based upon stress. I mean, science guys might prove me wrong, but I think all disease in general have some sort of stress-related issue. And look, like, you know, me and my partner separated on good terms, you know, that like we separated at the time. The gym was opening up at the time, you know, learning how to be a single father, still trying to be a bodybuilder, but obviously I just wasn't training when my head wasn't in the game, obviously. So those kind of things, they take a fucking hit, right? So at the time I was just like, oh, I want to get my heart checked, because, you know, a few bodybuilders were falling off a bit, you know, as you know. And when I got my heart checked, they did a colonoscopy and everything, and they found Crohn's. And they're like, look, these are your symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, fuck. Like, and they're like, yeah, look, you're going to have your bowel cut out. You know, like you're pretty well fucked. Like, it's not a matter of if, like, you're like severely inflamed. Like, it's just going to happen. You're already qualified for these really hardcore drugs. We don't know if they work, because we don't know enough about Crohn's, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, if you don't know they work, how come we're not talking about like diet or like things like this? Like, can we talk about, oh, nah, that shit doesn't work. I don't know. Again, you trust your gut feeling, right? I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to look into it. I went full hardcore carnivore for like 6 months. That's when everyone thought I was doing classic physique, because obviously I just shrunk down, and that was actually my favorite look. I was really happy. I was about 105 kilos, just peeled, eating fucking steak and eggs. And that's an easy diet, by the way. It's fucking mad. And then from there, like, again, just elimination process, right? I just kind of worked with foods that work for me. And like, that's where it's a blessing, because a lot of people have Crohn's, probably have foods they respond well with, but they're not eating it, right? They're still drinking alcohol. They're fucking doing all this shit, where this is like forced me to be an even better bodybuilder, right? Because I'm forced to eat what my body can only process well. And then when you become like that, if my daughter wants to go get ice cream, I can go eat ice cream, because it doesn't affect me, because it's like, it's a once-off meal. I don't have it every day. You know, I don't eat shit food, processed food. I've been traveling for 3 weeks. I just got back last night. And yeah, like, I just noticed that eating out, that's where I started to have a bit of a flare up or whatever. But just back on the plan today, you know, everything's back to normal. Stools are healthy, everything like that. You know, I noticed at the time though, when it was happening, you know, there was blood in my shit. I was just going to the toilet like every 20 minutes. I was just depleted. I was white as a ghost, you know, like always just stomach pains, things like that. And then, yeah, over time, I just went down that route, and then just became an even better bodybuilder from it. You know, I don't touch orals or anything like that as well. I just work with foods that work well with my body, and really control my stress. Like, just treat everything in life. Like, when something bad happens in your life, I used to lose sleep about it, right? As we do, where I look at it, you might have your dummy spit for 5 minutes, and then I sit there and I'm like, how can I use this to my advantage? Like, this is fucked, right? How can I use this to my advantage? I got to really pick up from this. I got to use this to my advantage. This is a blessing. And it's hard sometimes, But having that kind of mentality has really helped my stress levels as well.
That's interesting, man. So it's essentially in remission through dietary intervention.
Dude, I went back, right, and saw the specialist after like 6 months, because you have to get blood tests done to keep the drugs being sent to you on the Medicare, because the drugs they had been using were so expensive. And he's like, see, yeah, look, I told you the thing was working. You know, you can see you're in remission and your blood tests are coming back good. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's the funny thing, man. I took him for 2 weeks and I stopped using him. I told him the process what I just told you guys. And like in a nice way, he kind of told me to fuck off, you know. I haven't spoken to him since. And look, like, I'm not against medicine either. I'm not one of those, you know, against medicine. I think modern day medicine's amazing. But it's like, why are we trying to treat a problem when we can't go back and find out the root cause of it, you know? Yeah, so as I said, I'm not against medicine. As I said, like if we got to that point again and what I'm doing now didn't work and I have to use those drugs, I'd suck up and do it, right? You know, at the end of the day, it's not like I'm sitting here natty, right? We're just talking, obviously on PEDs. I'm not against, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know, but it's just one of those things. It's, if you trust your gut feeling again, and you work through the kind of common sense about it, like at the end of the day, if Crohn's is a very, a subject that a lot of people have expertise on, they still don't know how it's come about and how to cure it and things like that. It's like, well, if you're not an expert on yourself of what you should be, it's like, well, I'm going to take my chances of diet and nutrition first and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then yeah, of course, I'll go use the drugs 110%, no problem.
Mate, in terms of your approach these days, like, I mean, obviously it would have changed. I imagine you were a meathead like we were and just slinging super heavy weights in your young days. How would you say your training has evolved over the years so that you can maybe spare some of the younger listeners the mistakes that we made in our youth?
Oh, dude, I get blasted on this, right, on my socials, right? And the thing is, right, I'm so honest on my socials with everything, you know, across every taboo subject as well, because I'm so honest and transparent, because that way when I call someone out or if they DM me, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. They have to believe me because I'm not hiding anything. Like, you know, when we're coming up, we always think like, you know, ask you guys something. Oh, no, we just do this. I'm like, they're fucking hiding something from me. I know you guys are. You know, I did say that about you both, by the way. You know, you know, I used to say it about John. All the pros I used to speak to, I'm like, yeah, they're fucking hiding something from me. You know, but if you're honest and transparent, right? So it's like this now. It's like, I remember back in the day, John used to say to me, he's like, dude, stop coming in trying to deadlift 7 plates and you're barbell squatting 6 plates. It's like, I'm fucking 3 times the size now doing what he told me to do 10, 15 years ago. It's like, where would I be now if I fucking listened to him back then? You know, I've got fucking tears and all this shit now. Like, yeah, okay, I tore my quad 3 months ago, but that's the first bad injury I've had in, probably 5, 6 years. I used to tear my pecs all the time, quads, grade 1s. You know, so the way I look at it, I'm like, okay, that's my first bad injury I've had in 6 or 7 years. It's pretty good strike rate considering I used to have injuries once every 3 months from training fucking too heavy, trying to just press. You know, you go in the gym Monday night, 5:30 p.m. What are we doing, right? We're doing fucking chest, right? We're getting to, you know, heavy barbell presses, incline presses, all that kind of stuff. And like, look, you got to have that mongrel in you to teach yourself how to train hard. Like we said when we're natty, you know what I mean? Like you have to kind of set the base point of training hard. But the way I look at things now, like we have the education there, is like there's smarter ways to approach with using that mongrel intensity within your training, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with pre-exhausting a muscle. There's nothing wrong with, you know, hitting 12, 15 reps on a set. You know, like in my opinion, it's actually mentally a lot harder to sit there and get on a leg press. Like when I say to someone, you know, go hit 30 reps on a leg press, they think that's a fucking warm up. It's like, man, you do 30 reps on a fucking leg press, like that video, Scotty, that you did with Tom Platz years back on probably 50 reps, whatever it was. Like
109, 109 reps, Sam. Just there.
Sorry, yeah, just put it in. Yeah, so, but you're choosing a weight. If he wasn't there, you would have stopped on 12 or 15, right? You would have stopped on 12 and 15 and said, oh, that was a hard set, you know? Like it just goes to show how much you really have when you increase those reps. So it's like when I say to people, you know, when you go for a 30 rep set, choose something you would fail on for 10 and just stay there until you get 30. You know, like shit like that. Like, and you can do it because when you're doing a weight like that, you feel safe enough when your legs are shaking, you can go down for that another rep. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's training a little bit smarter, learning how that, you know, that like the progressive overload is not just about weight. It's not just about, you know, reps. You know, it's like you could look at it and go, okay, I've got 10 reps in this incline dumbbell press. To what have I got to do to overload and progress next week? Well, what if you just did the reps better? Because, you know, if I was to go and try and do 4 plates on an incline barbell press like Schembri used to do, like, the reason why he's got that fucking gorilla chest is because he's doing it. I know, yeah.
5.
But, you know,
Sorry.
you're doing that 5 plate, right? That 5 plate, how I would do 2 plates. You know, and there's a reason why your chest is that great, because you're not just going and slinging it, going hard. It's like everything's picture perfect the way it's all done. So it's like those things matter when you talk about, you know, progressing in so-called strength. You know, because what's going to look stronger, you know, hitting 3 plates, you know, coming down, pausing in your chest, squeezing up, or doing 4 plates and bouncing off your chest, just repping it out, you know, and looking and going, fuck, he's going to tear something soon. You know, so the biggest thing, young guys, just take your time. Like the weights like Ronnie Coleman, the shit we're using, that worked for him. But I don't see any other Ronnie Colemans coming out looking and training how he's training. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're into the new age tempo, loaded in the stretch position, all that sort of stuff, I assume?
Yeah, look, I kind of always have been. I think it's obviously come into fashion a lot more as it is, yeah. I've always been, so I was using like, you know, like FST7, like the fascia stretch training. I was doing that when I was natty back in the day, funny enough, before Harney was even popular. I found his stuff, so learning how to stretch the muscle between sets and all that kind of, I'm like a big advocate of stretching and staying flexible and mobility and everything like that. A lot of core work as well, because if you're going to be utilizing, say, heavy deadlifts or squats or whatever it is, you've got to have a strong core. That's why I think I've always had a good midsection when I was coming up. It's never kind of bloated out. But yeah, like, am I a fan of all that? I'm a fan of everything. I'm a fan of fucking drop sets, rest pause sets, cluster sets, like super sets. You know what I mean? It's, you have your program, yeah, and you want to try and obviously get stronger within that program, and you want to get stronger within your bread and butter movements, with the right form and all those things as well. But again, like, if you're feeling something and you're like, no, I'm going to do an extra set of leg press, I'm just going to do that 50 rep set or that 109 rep set that fucking Scotty was talking about. Go fucking do it. There's nothing wrong with going to put that in. Do you know what I mean? Like, you might not be able to do it again the next week. You might need to take 2 weeks off because your legs need the recovery. But to me, there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you're eating correctly and getting the right recovery. Like, this is the other thing too. People, the first thing they ask about training, it's like, I was doing this whole journey on 5 to 6 hours sleep. As soon as I bumped it up to 7, 8 hours, 9 hours, that's when my physique really fucking changed. You know, it's like, oh, did you increase your gear? It's like, no, I just sleep more. You know, like the recovery side of things is another thing that people miss out massively. So they always talk about, oh yeah, you know, don't cause fatigue. Like, don't go to failure completely on a fucking tricep extension. It's like, how much fatigue are you going to have on a fucking tricep extension? You know what I mean? Like, how about you worry about, like, you guys are arguing over that, but it's like, how come you're not worrying about, you know, optimal sleep and the more important things in that regard? Like, how much nutrition on point it should be to help grow and recover the muscle.
And what is the current Sam Pearce training split, mate? You said you're training twice a day. So what's a week look like for you at the moment?
Well, because I have the lifestyle to do it, obviously, I'll hit back in the morning, shoulders in the evening, chest in the morning, arms in the evening, quads in the morning, hamstring in the evening, rest, repeat. But at the same time, look, if I'm fucking, because I've only just started training quads again, right? I was doing that split, obviously, when I tore my quad because I had to keep my mind healthy because I couldn't do cardio, I couldn't walk or anything. So I'm like, fuck, I'll just train a muscle twice a day. I can't train that hard, so I'll just, you know, move the body twice a day. But then obviously when I was off the gear and everything like that as well, and my body just was staying full and I was training well, obviously I'm not doing these long marathon sessions. I'm just coming in, you know, maybe an hour in the morning, 45 in the evening, you know, big body part in the morning, some more body part in the evening. I can still work through my strength. I'm getting enough recovery. And then now obviously putting quads back in, my quads are sore for like a week because they're just so fresh, right? So sometimes I take, you know, it might be instead of 3 days on, 1 day off, I might go like 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. You know, I might go 1 day on, 2 days on, 1 day off, depending on recovery. Because if you're sore or whatever, just take the extra rest days is what's needed, right? Like same with the training sessions. It's like people think, oh, how do you recover from the training sessions? But it's like, well, really, you're actually, in my opinion, how I've always trained is when I come to that second smaller body part, like, you know, chest and triceps. Look, I fuck around with triceps. I do. You know, if it's like, you know, quads and hams, you know, I fuck around with hams at the end, or I do hams first and I kind of back out on quads towards the end. That's just me being completely honest, right? So it's like, if I get my nutrition right, I go home, you know, I just sit on the computer, I talk shit with you guys, you know, I'm sitting down, I'm resting, relaxing, you know, and I'm like, okay, sweet, I've still got to hit 3 exercises, you know, there might be 3 sets a piece or whatever it is. I'm fresh, I can go in. And the other thing too, my big thing to keep myself accountable with nutrition that works for me is that you guys know this because I train in the morning. Sometimes as the day goes on, you got kids, shit pops up. You kind of, oh yeah, I'll push this back half an hour. All of a sudden it's like, shit, I've got to go to bed, but I've still got to get a meal in. That never happens because knowing that I've got to train again at a certain time, it's like, well, you know, we never fuck with our training. So I make sure that, you know, my meals are always on point. So it just really helps me on an accountability level too. Is there more optimal ways to do this? Fucking oath, you know, but for me and my lifestyle, this is what works for me.
On the nutrition side, I remember speaking to you, it was probably pre-COVID, and I think you were on 8,000 calories a day. Has your philosophy on that changed as well? Like, because
dude, I can hammer food all day. I can eat 8,000 easy. You know, like wow. I've always been able to eat. I've never had like a distended stomach or anything like that. Now these days I probably sit like 6.5, just because obviously I'm just coming back from like when I tore my quad, you know, like I was up around 7 because I just put everything back in. I was going to go through another cycle, everything like that. So I just pulled the cows back a little bit and just kind of cruised on that. But really, like for me, you know, getting in 6.5, even 7, it's pretty easy. You know, it's pretty easy. I just don't think, and even then back then I was still lean when I was having 8,000. I just don't think it's just needed. You know, it's the other thing too. It's like how strong can you get before it's kind of counterproductive? Same with eating food. Like how much food can you eat before it kind of comes counterproductive? You know, like I only think you really just sit a little bit above in your surplus, stay nice and lean, see what's going on. And then you can obviously judge your physique better too, because you don't have blurry visuals. You can really see, as well, like with digestion and stuff like that as well. Like, you know, are you not hungry because you've had too much food, or you know, it's just your insulin sensitivity is a bit off, or, you know, could have, you know, gut problems or whatever it might be. It's a lot easier to identify problems. The same thing, like guys bulk up or whatever, 8,000 calories, and they do their thing and they cut down and they've just got like a bigger version of themselves. They haven't made the improvements. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So for me, you know, trying to make improvements, especially as a pro, I don't think you really need to go down and push the body with that extra stress of consuming all that food. Just kind of feed the body as it's needed.
You say that, but you're actually having 6,500 calories, Sam, and that's an exorbitant amount of food.
Well, I'm also 140 kilos.
This is true, but do you have any hacks for the listeners that struggle to get their food down? Like,
and you corrected me with your 109 reps. You corrected me with your 5 plates, right? 140 kilos, 9.5% on the DEXA scan.
Wow,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
So just get it right, you know. Like you guys, I've got to get it right for you guys, right? Just get it right for the viewers, yeah.
That's right. We'll be living off these statistics forever, Sam. We'll be living off them, all of us, mate.
I just had to please my ego. Sorry, Scotty, I got your question.
Have you got any hacks for people that struggle to get calories down? Like, is there a percentage of those that are liquid calories, or like is that relatively high fats? How do you do it?
No, fats are probably mostly from meats. You know, I eat a lot of red meat because when I was obviously in Crohn's, red meat was my best friend. So I pumped the red meat. The carb source, look, like I could tell you guys my food choices right now. It's literally just red meat, rice, pineapple, apple, dates. I'm just trying to think of anything else. I do put in like a blended shake sometimes, like if I'm on the road, like I've been the last 3 weeks, I've been having a blended shake once a day that consumes of like oats, berries, protein powder, chia seeds. I put that in. I've been having that in once a day, and I'm probably going to keep that in just because I just like the difference of a bit of a sweet thing, and I can tolerate it fine. So that, again, that's just been something recently I put in that I've kept away from for a very long time, and it's actually been digesting really well. It's just a bit of a breakup for me, something sweet throughout the day. My biggest hack though, right? Because all those people say, oh, those foods are plain, they're boring. First of all, I like them. You have to like the food you eat. Second, when you're cheating on your diet, or when you go have your cheat meal or whatever it is, you know, it's like, I just spent 3 weeks away, right? I'm eating out, you know, I'm eating good foods and everything like that. Because of all the flavorings and everything else, like you don't realize how much, like to eat the amount of food you have to eat like that, it's fucking hard. Like I get sponsored by meal companies like Papa Macros, for example. I used to have all their, like they've got mad fucking range. Like I used to buy like 65 meals of them a week, right? And just go through like a lasagna and this and that, whatever. And it all felt fine for my body. But when I had to push up the food a little bit, it was fucking hard. When you have just plain food, like your body processes it so much easier. So it's like, it's actually like easier to eat plain, as crazy as. There's plenty of salt, you know, cook it, learn how to cook it right, you know, fucking easy. The second thing I would tell people is 10-minute walks directly after a meal. I don't do any cardio, right? I got shredded, the most shredded I've ever been last year for that US show that I did. That was like my comeback show where I just kind of prepped myself just to see how I'd kind of come in. I was fucking peeled to the bone, right? I've never been that peeled. I was 120 on stage, 10-minute walks after every meal. I did like 2 40-minute Stairmaster sessions. I kind of put them in at like 10 weeks out, and I had to stop because I was ready like 7 weeks out from the show, 8 weeks out from the show. I was having, like, in peak week, when I got to the US, I was having like IHOP 2 or 3 times a day because I was just losing weight so quick. Like, you go on a plane and fly to the US, you put all this water and stuff. My body was just like a furnace. I lost like 4 kilos on the flight. People usually put on 4 kilos on the flight, right? But I owe all that just from 10-minute walks after meals. It lowers your blood sugars. It aids the digestion process. And now it's like an addictive drug now. I just feel better. Like, if I eat and I sit down after and go on the computer, I'm like sluggish, whatever it is. You get the body moving, whatever it is, and you're like, yeah, sweet. Mentally, the clarity behind it, you feel fucking great. And then by the end of the day, you're still hitting an easy 10,000 steps at 140 kilos. And it's not like I've had to go to a hard cardio session, slobbering all over the fucking treadmill or cross trainer. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so easy to reason with yourself, because I've got a dog. So he keeps me accountable because he knows when I'm eating. He's like, yeah, sweet, we're going for another fucking walk, right? So when you're going for a walk 5 times a day at 10 minutes a hit, that's what, say 6,000, 7,000 steps a day. And then obviously you're training and just your other, trace steps. You're getting 10,000 steps easy. You don't have to think about it. It's like you get to the end of the day, same thing, like the meals before. Oh shit, I've got to still get 3,000 steps. It's like, it's just, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? I always see it working better in that regard. And that's been my biggest hack at walking at the weight I am, as lean as I am.
Nice. And on the supplement side of things, or do you have any mandatory supplements, whether it just be from a muscle building perspective or from a sort of maintenance health standpoint?
Good question. Betaine hydrochloride for obviously digestion. ZMA, nighttime. 5-HTP, GABA, I have them all at night for brain function to help me sleep. Magnesium, using magnesium around meals to help digestion. You have to kind of ease into that. I kind of took a bit too much at the start when I first started using it. But magnesium, I think actually magnesium probably would take it as far as the most important one. And then I use iron by glycinate. That's a different kind of iron because I don't uptake iron as well, obviously, from my Crohn's. And obviously, like, your basics, fish oils, multivitamins, I keep it all pretty relatively standard across the board there. If I had to give you a rough list off the top of my head, that would be the first ones that come to mind, yeah.
Do you use any protein powder at all, whether it be a collagen or, I don't know if dairy sits well with you?
So I used a collagen when I was coming out of Crohn's on the carnivore process. And then I do use WPI now with that shake that I have once a day. The brands I use WPI is either International or Evolve. They're just the two that just sit well with me. I don't really have I'm not saying they're the ones to use. It's just like, for me, I don't have any discomfort in my stomach. And I use about 60 to 70 grams a hit in that shake. But again, like, how do we know the shakes are the problem for people if they're not doing 10-minute walks after their meals, right? Like, that was a big thing for me too. I'm starting to realize, I'm like, was oats and protein a problem, or is it just because I'm so religious to my walks now that it's like, maybe that's why the digestion, the bloating and stuff's actually gone down from when I was younger, when I wasn't doing that,
Mate, I really appreciate your time and the insight, and I think the listeners would as well. If they want to find out more about you, mate, where can they find you? Give the gym a little plug, give the socials a plug. Let the listeners know where they can learn more about Sam Pearce.
Sam Pearce Official is across all platforms. So that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything like that. YouTube, Iron Asylum. That's the gym name based here on the Gold Coast. So yeah, I mean, I get a lot of influencers coming here as well because they like the privacy of the place and content filming, everything like that. So it's good. It's good having a private spot because you kind of pick and choose your members. So that's where you're going to find me across those platforms.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you for coming on, and for all those that are listening, they can, track Sam down. And if you enjoyed the interview, we'll have more with upcoming and existing IFBB superstars like Sam. So give us a subscribe and like the episode and chuck a comment in, and it'll be easy to find us in the future. Thank you, Sam.
For you boys, anytime.
Thanks, mate.
There's no cure for this.